factorize an equivalent matric examination question. Here it looks a little bit more complicated, more challenging. There is a half in front of the x squared. But as we look through the equation, we have a minus and a plus. And we learned from the generalization we'd be using the second one, the second general equation. So we're going to have x minus, and we're going to have x minus. Right? So now we need to find the factors of this equation, which we're going to solve. So here again, this time it's going to be 1 times a half for the coefficient of x squared. Then 12 again we saw was 12 and 1. It was 6 and 2. And it was 4 and 3. So if we multiply a half times 12, we're going to get 6. If we multiply a half times 6, we're going to get 3. And a half times 4 is going to give us 2. Then, if we add the factors to find the coefficient of x, 6 and 1 is 7. That won't do. We're looking for 5. 3 and 2 is 5. And 2 and 3 is 5. So in this particular example, we can use 6 and 2 and multiply by half, or 4 and 3 and multiply by a half. So we are going to put a half here, and we're going to put a 6 here, and a 2 there. So let us again cross-check that this answer is correct. We have a half x minus 2 times x minus 6. So x times x and a half, we're going to get a half x squared. X times minus 2 is minus 2x. Minus 6 times a half x is minus 3x. And minus times a minus gives us a plus, and 6 2's are 12. So when we add down vertically, we have a half x squared minus 5x plus 12. And this is equal to the original equation. In this particular case, I have also put in the fact that we're factorizing a quadratic which is equal to 0. So we would like the roots of these equations. So if we look at the roots here, we have a half x minus 2 equals 0. Therefore, a half x equals 2, and by multiplying both numerators by 2, we get 2 over 2x is equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. The 2's cancel, and x is equal to 4. And if we take the next one, we have x minus 6 is equal to 0. Therefore, x minus 6 plus 6 is equal to 6. The two 6's go out, and x equals 6. So your two solutions here are 4 and 6. This is a Funda Tanda Maths moment. We are going to use patterns for multiplications. So here we are going to look at the 5 times table. 5 times. If we look at the 5 times table, it is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on, up to 60. If you look at these numbers sequentially, of course, you're going to find it's odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, and it continues. Therefore, it has a cycle of 2 numbers. So if we put all the odd numbers together, we have 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55. So this is 1 times 5, 3 times 5, 5, 7, 9, and 11. And if we take the even numbers are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. And of course here it's 2 times 5, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's how easy it is to build your 5 times table from a pattern point of view. We are going to look at a variation of this matric problem. It could be where it is a half y to the 4th minus 5 y squared plus 12 equals 0. So this will add a bit more interest. We will go again for the cross. We will factorize, and here we will have y squared minus and y squared minus. Then if we do our cross multiply, we have 1 and a half, we have 12 and 1, we have 6 and 2, and we have 4 and 3. So if we solve it like last time, and we put a 6 here, a 2 here, and a half in front of that, equals 0. Now, when we solve these binomials, we will actually have a half y squared minus 2 equals 0. We take a half y squared minus 2 plus 2 equals 2, so those 2 disappear. So we have a half y squared is equal to 2. So by multiplying through by 2, we will get 2 over 2 y squared is equal to 2 times 2. Therefore, those 2 cancel, and y squared is equal to 4. And the solution here is that y squared, y, we take the square root of both sides, is the square root of 4, which is equal to plus or minus 2. Very important to remember that when you've taken the square root, you'll end up with a plus and a minus. And on the other side here, we're going to have y squared minus 6 is equal to 0. Therefore, y squared minus 6 plus 6 is equal. We're adding 2 pluses on either side. Those cancel. We now have y squared equals 6. And then the square root of both sides will give us y is equal to plus or minus the root of 6. So these are the 2 solutions for root 6, plus or minus root 6, and plus or minus root 4. We have 4 solutions because we are dealing with an equation to the power of 4. Now I'd like to show you a matric question which is a little bit more challenging. We actually have a half in front of the y to the 4th minus 5y squared plus 12. This actually is a quadratic, but it's to make it simple, we will say let x equal y squared. So with the y squared, we substitute x and we get a half x squared minus 5x plus 12. As you saw previously, we look at these signs, and the sign in front of the 12 tells us that we're going to have two of the same signs, and the minus tells us that those two signs are going to be negative. So we create our bracket, and we have a half x times x, the x causing the difference, the half giving us a challenge. So we'll have a minus here and a minus there. Now we do our x to multiply it out, so we have 1 times a half. It's 12 again, so we have 12, 1, we have 6, 2, and we have 4, 3. So, and we want to end up with a 5 in front in the coefficient of x. So half times 6 will give you 3, and 1 times 2 will give you 2. And 2 plus 3 will give us the answer of 5x. So if we multiply a half by 6 and an x by 2, so a half times 6 will be 3, and x times 2 will be 2, 2x. So 2x plus 3x is our 5x. And minus times a minus will give us a plus, which will be 2 6s, which is 12. So that is our cross check. We'll just do it very quickly. We have a half x minus 2 times x minus 6. When we multiply it out, x times half x gives you a half x squared. X times minus 2 is minus 2x. Minus 6 times a half x is minus 3x. And minus times a minus is a plus, which gives us 12. And here we have the answer. It's a half x squared minus 5x plus 12. What's interesting about this problem, we also have a solution for 4 times 3. Because if we multiply a half times 4, we'll get 2, and 1 times 3, we'll get 3. 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So we are going to stay with this solution, because now we need to substitute back, because x is y squared. Therefore, we have a half y squared minus 2 equals 0. And a half y squared minus 2 plus 2 equals 2. So these two go out. So we have a half y squared equals 2, and hence y squared is equal to 4. So y is equal to the square root of 4 plus or minus, which gives us an answer of plus or minus 2. That is the one solution. And the other roots here will be that you have y squared minus 6 equals 0. Therefore, y squared is equal to 6. And y is equal to plus or minus the square root of 6. So here are our 4 answers, plus or minus 2 or plus or minus root 6.